came to her and said, "Oh woman," with a rebuking tone. Now I'm trying to break this down to create a picture in your mind that he was not an ordinary man. This man was keeping the altar. This is what we call a guardian of the altar.
This is a presentation of Hallelujah Ministries International.
If you want to trouble your trouble, is in the days of trouble, praise him.
Glory to Jesus.
In the days of trouble, praise him.
Praise him.
It is called in a biblical language the sacrifice of praise. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it is easy to praise him when there is bread on the table. It is easy to praise him when everybody is applauding you. It is easy to praise him where everyone is speaking good of you. But the days when things are somehow not as you expected, it becomes an effort to praise him.
Jesus.
It becomes an effort to praise him. But the best way to trouble your trouble is when trouble comes, the expectation of the enemy and life at large is that you may break, you may complain, you may murmur. When Satan sees, despite the fact that he has thrown so much on you, you are still smiling, you are still good. Someone comes and greets you. Everything is collapsing. You do not even know where your next meal will come. And you say, "How are you?" You say, "Hey, brother, I'm good.
Together.
I am hooked by grace up high. I am together, man."
Yay.
Give somebody a high five. Say, "I'm good. I am good. Just good."
Together.
Now hear this. Please have a seat. Let's try to behave. Now it says that she went in the presence of God and she poured her heart before God. She did not speak to the husband. She did not speak to Penina. She went to be in the presence of God, and there she expressed her pain. It is safe to speak to God. It is safe to tell him everything as it is. The only one who will never reject you, the only one who will never condemn you, the only one who will accept you as you are is the Lord your God. When even your very spouse will turn his back on you or her back on you, Jehovah God will still embrace you. So Anna, by revelation, stood in the presence of God on the altar, laid the offering and presented herself, and there the Bible says she made a vow to God and said, "If the Lord will remember me and move me out of my affliction by giving me a male child, I will present him to you. Lord, if you bless me, if you will give my hand something to hold, I will be a blessing in the kingdom. I will give back what you have given me." So she made a vow, and the Bible says, because of the vow made, God, I believe, God opened the eyes of his servant. Now, Anna was praying not a conventional way of prayer. I refuse to be conventional in my ministry. I refuse to be conventional in my spiritual walk. I decided to keep my relationship with God authentic. I don't want to live my life in the frames of dogmas only. I want the Lord through his Spirit to lead me. For the Bible said the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. I want him to lead me. This woman was not conventional, so she did not pray in a certain manner. She prayed in liberty. For where the Spirit of God is, there is liberty. She opened her heart and prayed and travailed and spoke to God. She minded nobody next to her. She did not care what was happening around her. She was so deep in her prayer. She was connecting with God. Her mind was tuned in God. Her heart was connected with God. So much so that her sweat was a reflection of the spiritual work that she was doing at that very hour. Her movements were all orchestrated by the words that she had uttered to God. When she said, "You are God," her hand will lift by itself because everything together was connected to God. So much so that the man Eli, who was by the doorpost looking and said, "I've seen many come on this altar. I've seen many offer on this altar. I have never ever come across one who does it like her. Behind this woman, there must be something." I want you to look at your neighbor and say, "Excuse me." Look at your neighbor and say, "Excuse me. I am not here for you." Say, "My heart is full. I'm here for God." This woman was there for God. That the man of God, Eli, looked and said, "You drunkard woman." I love your English when you pray. But you see, some of us, when the heat is high, we forget English.
Right.
We go back to isiZulu.
That's right.
I don't know who I'm speaking to.
Jesus.
She prayed as if she had lost her mind. She prayed as if she had smoked something. She prayed not minding her education, her position in society, not minding that on that Sunday morning she was on high heels. High heels, my foot. It's all about Jesus. Touch two people, say it's about Jesus today. It's all about Jesus today.
All about Jesus. I receive this word over my life in the name of Jesus.
Of the you are my hiding place. You always keep my heart with I will trust in you, Lord. Have a seat. Now she was on the altar, and the Bible speaks of somebody else. You see, reading the scriptures, you come to know the people who were men actors. The Bible speaks of Elkanah, the Bible speaks of Anna, the Bible speaks of Peninnah, and her children. Then the Bible here speaks of another figure, another person who was not previously mentioned, part of the family. This person's role was in the house of God where Anna came to seek God. His name was Eli. Some people called him Eli. He was at the door when she walked in. I want to speak to you about him, but this is really figurative because I am trying to speak to you about the right prototype of who is supposed to be by the altar. Now, please notice this woman came to connect with God on the altar, but her behavior was questioned by one man who felt like it was his duly given right to verify what happens on the altar and who comes on the altar and how they behave on the altar. This man's eye was open on whatever happened on the altar, Eli or Eli. So from far, he was observing this woman, pouring her heart, agonizomai, travailing in the presence of God. And his conclusion as a man was that this woman is not doing it like everybody I know have done it. So it might be that she's under the influence of some substance. If she's not in drugs, she has smoked something, or maybe she's drunk. So this man, after seeing that, came to her and said, "Oh woman," with a rebuking tone. Now I'm trying to break this down to create a picture in your mind that he was not an ordinary man. This man was keeping the altar. This is what we call a guardian of the altar. Every altar has a guardian. No, it is key and very important for you to understand this. Every altar has a guardian, and the guardian of the altar has a responsibility on whatever happens on the altar. Not only the responsibility, he has power to speak the voice of the altar. Now, this woman was misunderstood. I have chosen this test by the Spirit because this is not perfect guardian. He is not an angel. He had made mistake. His judgment was not accurate at first. So this man accused the lady praying and say, "You are drunk." But you see, I want to bring your mind to see that despite his shortfalls, he was the guardian of the altar. Now, as Anna heard whatever the man of God said, instead of taking an offense and saying, "I'm leaving," Anna knew leaving the altar does not punish the altar. It punishes you.
That's right.
Oh, well, how can it be that even the leaders are not treating me well? I'm going. I'll not come back. So she understood that if I will decide that I'm no longer part and parcel of the altar, I am not punishing the altar. She was accused, but she understood offense is never given. Jesus. Offense is taken.
Oh God.
You can choose to take offense in literally anything. I went to that church, and can you imagine the pastor holding a shining microphone?
Yeah?
You can literally take offense because your neighbor is too loud. You can take offense because
Jesus. Jesus.
She understood that offense is never given. You're not given an offense. You take offense. Life is all about choices.
Right.
She overlooked that and explained herself and said, "Oh, man of God, I'm not a wicked woman. You read me wrong. You misunderstood me from the onset. I am a woman filled with anguish. I have not taken any substance that may be the reason why I'm moving the way I'm moving. It is out of the abundance of my complaint and grief that I have spoken." Man of God, I didn't come here for anybody else. I've come because my heart is filled.
Oh, Jesus.
Sometimes I don't know how to sleep. My mind keeps on turning and working. Even when it is hot, I'm cold. My future is so dark. Those who are supposed to hold my hand are those who are going behind me and pulling me down. That's why I'm here.
Jesus.
I have come a long way. I flew in this morning. Coming, there are people who had ridiculed me and said, "You're going to waste your time and money." But I've come because my heart is filled.
Oh, Jehovah.
Sometimes I live in fear. Fear of tomorrow. What will happen to me? Am I going to survive this?
Jesus.
Men of God, you got me wrong. I came to say, I need thee. Oh, Jesus. I need it.
Every hour I need.
Bless me, oh Lord.
Oh, bless me now, my Savior. I come to you.
The world has judged me. My family has judged me. My friends have judged me. So I have not come today being drunk, being influenced. You have called me a thief in the house of God. You have called me a liar in the house of God. You have said that I'm here for him or for her, but that's not true. I have my own battles.
Jesus.
And I need Jesus.
I need
Oh Lord, I
Jesus.
need you.
I need thee. Oh, I need thee. Every hour I need thee. Oh, bless me now, my Savior. I come to thee.
Verse 15, please have a seat. But Anna answered and said, "No, my Lord." Oh, bless me now, my Savior. Verse 16, do not consider your maidservant a wicked woman, for out of the abundance of my complaint and grief I have spoken until now. Oh, bless me now, my Savior. Now read this verse 17. After she has explained her case, put the record straight. This is something mind-blowing. Something I want to draw your attention to. 17, then Eli answered and said, go in peace. And the God of Israel grant your petition which you have asked of him.
Amen.
Go in peace.
I receive it.
After she had poured her heart, the same man who spoke out of lack of proper judgment is the same man who's releasing a word.
Jesus.
Go in peace. Now you must understand the power Eli had for you to understand the power of the guardian of the altar. Now when he's saying go in peace, he's speaking as a guardian of the altar.
Amen.
Now as a guardian of the altar, whatever the altar has to give, you can give.
I receive it.
He spoke to a woman filled with sorrow and grief. This woman praying did not hear a voice from God. This woman praying didn't feel a wind blowing. This woman praying and pouring her heart before God did not have goosebumps signaling the presence of an angel. She came trusting and crying to God, and all she settled for was the word from the guardian of the altar. Because what the guardian of the altar speaks and says settles the matter from that altar.
I receive it.
So the guardian of the altar say, go in peace.
I receive it.
He could have said something else, but he said, go in peace, and may the God of Israel answer your petition that you presented to him. When you connect to the altar, even before you feel the wind blowing, before you have the sensation that gives you goosebumps as an angel rubbing your back, all that is important is that the messenger, the set man on that altar, may pronounce over you.
Yes.
Go in peace, he said.
I receive.
And may the God of Israel, the covenant-keeping God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, unfailing in his ways, omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent God, Shammah, ever-present God. May the God of Israel, the one who sits upon the throne with all power in his hand, may the God of Israel,
I receive it.
grant you the petition you have presented to him. Now, it is astonishing to see that these words settled everything in her heart.
Be sure to tune in next time for the continuation of this preaching.
An altar is a gateway to the supernatural, a corridor. Here, there is no ceiling. Here, heaven and earth becomes one. When you come here, you touch heaven. It's a corridor.
If you were blessed by this video, be sure to subscribe to our channel. You can catch Pastor Alph LUKAU on AMI TV on the public bouquet or on our live stream on AMITV.com. You can follow Pastor Alph LUKAU on all social media platforms at Alph LUKAU.